Morena, a very good morning. Welcome to the Punters Lounge Live on this Saturday morning, a very special Saturday. It's no ordinary day as we've been building up throughout the week. It's Winx Day, day 2 of the championships, and she is the headline act on a day that will see her attempt to win her 33rd race in a row and an attempt to win her 25th Group 1 race. She's already won 4 Cox Plates. She's hoping to add another Queen Elizabeth to the tally. So that will be the focus of Trackside 1 throughout the day. Not only the Punters Lounge Live, but Trackside Live itself. Even though we have some quality racing from Riccarton Park, 9 races there, and also 8 races at Hastings with the Hawke's Bay Cup. Now we've got heaps on the show today and looking forward to bringing you people from all across Australia and New Zealand. We'll get the latest weather and track information from Sydney with Aidan Rodley, who will be with Navesh Ramdani, the curator there. What's the dance floor like for her final? Bill Thurlow is in Sydney with glory days after winning the Auckland Cup. He's going to try and pull off the Sydney Cup. Lisa Allpress is trying to go back-to-back on Secret Allure after winning the New Zealand Bloodstock Air Freight. She has the War Step in her sights today. Samantha Collett rode glory days to win the Auckland Cup, and she will have Igrain as her best ride on the program in an attempt to win the Hawke's Bay Cup. And then we return to Randwick, where Brad Gray will join Aidan Rodley to preview the best bets on day 2 of the championship. So yes, it is going to be about Winx, but it's also going to be about finding you a winner. Thad Taylor will be joining us as we preview the best races from Hastings and Riccarton. He's passed on the information as to which horses have attracted good support with him. Starting at Hastings in race number 1, Mr. Universe has been a significant shortener from $3.20 into $2.80. Also on the card there, Langkawi has been supported. And at Riccarton, the best backed horse there is Disturbance. $5 into $4.50 Disturbance. And there's a little bit of other action on the program there as well around Atlanta Peach in race number 8, the Coca-Cola Canterbury Gold Cup. She's shortened from $7 into $5.50. And you're speaking about Winx, there are a number of bets that have been taken across Australasia. The New Zealand TAB has taken a $57,000 bet for Winx to win at $1.07. So all the best to that person who has laid out 57k in Winx's final race. Certainly that person will be wanting 33 in a row, 25 Group 1s for her tally to be completed before she likely heads to the breeding barn. Well, we're in the middle of April, and as the weather gets colder, the promotions from the TAB hot up. At Hastings, Riccarton Park and Randwick today, the Double Down promotion continues, and you'll get paid as a winner if your runner comes second. Now, this is an account-only bet, and it is your first bet up to $20. So if you win, of course, you get paid out as a winner, and if your runner finishes second, you will also get paid out as a winner. So that Double Down promotion continues. Hastings, Riccarton Park and Royal Randwick races 1 and 2. Stay with us, because if you're a retail customer, we will give you a special also that pertains to Winx. So specials not just for account holders, but for people that are betting throughout TAB retail, and also the pubs and clubs that have TABs in them. A lot of New Zealand interest throughout the program, day 2 of the championships, and it begins in race number 5, where Avantage will compete in the Arrowfield Sprint for Jamie Richards. She's $4.80 and well spruiked to win the race. In the Oaks, the Australian Oaks, we've got Imelda Mary and Clementina for Wayne Hillis and Murray Baker, Andrew Forsman. They're at large odds, and of course, Very Elegant, who is the very well backed odds-on favourite with New Zealand connections. In race number 7, Dance will take on Winx in the Longines Queen Elizabeth with Eminent, or He's Eminent, for Mark Todd and James McDonald. Dance for Gibbs Bradley and Opie Bossons at 26. In race 8, the Sydney Cup, four-handed, Sir Charles Road, Glory Days, Zaccarda and Rondinella for Team Wexford, O'Sullivan Scott, Bill Thurlow, Baker Forsman and the James Wellwood team. 23.18.71 for Zaccarda, who placed last year, as did Sir Charles Road, behind Who Shot the Barman and Rondinella there. Another one that has been spruiked to be competitive at $9. And in race 9, the Coolmore Legacy Stakes, Consensus, who was so good at Moonee Valley, the New Zealand Group 1 winner who won at Moonee Valley, and Stephen McKee will be hoping to notch up a Group 1 for her. She's at 30 to 1. So those are the Kiwis in action at Randwick. And we have a man on the ground there. His name is Aidan Rodley. He's been providing super coverage throughout the week thus far. And Aidan, as we say, a very good morning to you. Looking forward to you describing with Nivesh Ramdani how that Randwick track is shaping up for today.
Exactly, Jason. Yeah, welcome along to Randwick, and yeah, it's dawned a little bit of a cloudy day, but it's clear, it's calm, and what a scene we do have set for just a massive day of racing. Everything has been about Winx through the media, through the build-up, and it's just hard to avoid, and you don't want to avoid it. That's why we're here. We're here to be part of what is a really momentous occasion, her final race. As you said, Jason, there's a lot of Kiwi interest throughout the day as well, and a little bit about how their chances will be about the track conditions. And you did talk about Nivesh. We've grabbed him here to talk track conditions. You've been out and done a penetrometer read and things this morning. What have you come up with from Nivesh?
Yeah, good morning, Aidan. The track's a soft 5, penetrometer 5.35. And look, this cloud will burn away. They're forecasting a mostly sunny day, maximum of 26. Slight breeze first from the southwest, then turning northeasterly, which is absolutely fantastic. Perfect day for racing.
Okay, the track conditions, could there be an upgrade through the day?
Possibly. Look, I think we're not far off a good 4 at the moment. And going around it this morning, there was quite a massive dew. It's still, the leaves pretty wet. And yesterday, it was a bit more overcast than this, and the dew took up till about 11 o'clock to dry off. So I'm anticipating that it will dry a little bit earlier today. And then just depending on how the times go, we probably get an upgrade at some point this afternoon.
Okay, the preparation for the track, has it gone as planned for this big meeting?
Yeah, for sure. And, sometimes the best laid plans come unstuck when you've got weather like we have had. And, it's important to understand we've had 10 inches of rain in the last month, and we have had a good week leading into this meeting. So, we're down to almost a good track, and, I'm more than happy with the way the track presents. There's a good cushion of grass, and I think it's going to play really well. And of course, the big one, the Queen Elizabeth, which is, probably one of the biggest days we'll ever get up to in racing in our time for sure. And it's just been exciting, and I can't wait for it to get there.
I guess it doesn't make too much difference, but the pressure of preparing a track for Winx's finale, do you feel that?
Yeah, look, absolutely. This morning, I got up to a day where I started to feel it. It's now reality. I have to say I was fairly relaxed up until this morning, and I couldn't sleep last night. It was that exciting, and look, it's just going to be a great day. The weather's going to play its part, and there's going to be a huge crowd here today, and the track's going to be good, and I think we're going to have a really, really good day's racing, a memorable one that we can sort of remember and tell our families these stories in years to come.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us and helping us set the scene for today, Nivesh.
Thank you very much.
Nivesh Ramdani joining us here, Jason. And isn't that the scene? I think there's a lot of sleepless nights around Sydney today, and it is such a big occasion and such a historic occasion to be part of. And yes, it is all about Winx. We were out at Rose Hill on Thursday morning and spoke with Chris Waller. There was a huge media contingent there, and I just asked him just about how heartwarming it was to see that global interest in his superstar mare.
It's very special to know that people are watching racing and giving it their time in this day and age where sport is very competitive and everybody's trying to capture the audience. And for to know Winx has done that here in Australia, and then to reach out to New Zealand, other parts of the world, is pretty special. So she's certainly done a great job. She's got another win to go to make it a fairy tale story. And if we can go to bed Saturday night with that sense of relief to know that she's nailed it on the last day as well as the rest of her career, it'll be very special.
She looks great. She looks bright. Is she in the right condition to go out on a winning note?
Yeah, she's electric. As you saw this morning, she's on her toes, and yeah, she's charging. She's done plenty of work. She's a 4th run under preparation. She's had the three dominant victories, and she's as fit as we can have her, and she's as well as we can have her.
Okay, we heard Hugh Bowman talk before just about the legacy of Winx and how it's built up over time because of her longevity. That's taken a bit of management. How have you done it?
By keeping things simple. Firstly, she's very good. That makes it look makes it a lot easier. But there's no there's no textbook or manual for a a champion horse. So it's been a learning curve for us, but I think my team's been very good in just keeping things simple, making sure it's a routine and nothing changes, and not over racing her. We could have run her in a lot more races than what she's running. She could have run a Melbourne Cup, she could have gone to other parts of the world, but the fact is we've been hell-bent on longevity right from the start, because you've seen what it does week in, week out. When she races, there's a big contingent of media, there's a lot of fans, and it's just grown from level to level each 6 months, basically.
Yeah. Obviously, lots of big Group 1 wins, but when you look back on her career, how would you want her to be remembered?
I'd say just to be one of the greatest. I don't want her to be the best. She doesn't need to be, and that'll never be proven, because you can't run generations against each other. But the fact is, to be so dominant over her generation for 4 years, she's seen a lot of horses come and go. She's taken on all that want to take her on. I think she'll be remembered for all those Cox Plates, all those Queen Elizabeths, Doncasters with a big weight. She'll be remembered for the horse that come good. She won her first 3 races, and I think she got beat in the next 4 or so. Gradually made a name for herself, and she's kept it in the highlight.
Amazing stuff, Winks throughout her career, and Chris Waller, who has managed her every step of the way with his team, and great insight from him speaking to you, Aidan Rodley, during the week. Now, Aidan, I must say you've been to more than 10 Melbourne Cups and experienced the build-up and that race, the race that stops Australia. How has that compared to what presents today, Winks Farewell?
Well, I think in previous Melbourne Cups that we've managed to cover for trackside and through newspapers prior, the build-up is around lots of different horses, whereas this is focused on one horse alone and her finale, and just how it's such an auspicious occasion, because this will be the final time that Winks goes to a racetrack. It's in a big race such as a Queen Elizabeth, which is massive. We've had a little bit of course, of our build-up around Dance, and He's Eminent, and their chances with the Kiwi connections, but in Sydney it is all Winks, and that makes it a huge difference. I was there for Maccabi Diva's 3rd Melbourne Cup, and that was a lot of the build-up was certainly around her for that, and her getting that 3rd Melbourne Cup, which was, that was something, as Lee Friedman said afterwards, we'll probably never see again in our lifetime, and I don't know whether we'll see one like Winks again. Certainly one that's been as popular and has captured that public imagination like she has. I think there'll be TVs tuned into trackside right around the country in New Zealand to see this. It might not have been in other situations, so it's going to be massive here in Sydney. 42,000, Jason. I guess that's a little bit different to the 100,000 that turn up to Flemington to watch those Melbourne Cups, but I think we won't really know just how it feels until it actually happens, until we see Winks go past the finishing line at Randwick this afternoon and say that was the final time we'll see it. And yeah, just that will be something to be part of, and how special a moment that will be.
It certainly will be. Thank you, Aidan. Aidan Rodley at Randwick there, and we'll be joined by Aidan throughout the program when him and Brad Gray will preview the best bets. Of course, trying to find a winner outside of Winks. 5 minutes past 5 o'clock New Zealand time is when the Queen Elizabeth field will be locked and loaded, and when we will see Winks jump in her last race. In terms of other options for you to consider, if you're a retail customer, the TAB has a special. Will Winks win? Yes. And will the margin be 6.5 lengths or more? $5 is that special price, and this is available to retail customers only. This is option 1311, so nip down if you like the thought of this, if you like the thought of Hugh Bowman in Winks's very last race, cutting the ribbons and letting her do her thing, extending her to the best of her ability and putting a hole in them, then that option is an option for you. So they're preparing the track for a capacity crowd there at Randwick, something that hasn't been seen by all reports in a number of generations. 42,000 packed to the gunnels, and the sign full up. Okay, New Zealand and the races from Riccarton and Hastings. Time to set the scene for those. And the track has come back at Riccarton, and it is a dead 6 for the 9-race program, which includes the Warstep Stakes and also the Coca-Cola Canterbury Gold Cup. So looking forward to the program there. Dead 6, the running rail is out 3 metres. And just note, there's a little bit of morning cloud, but by all accounts, it is fine there at Riccarton. And we'll be joined by Greg O'Connor to discuss the program there, and also Lisa Allpress, who has a big ride in the Warstep Stakes and a number of very good chances throughout the program. At Hastings, it's Hawke's Bay Cup Day. Bevan Sweeney will be there with Tony Lee. The track is also a dead 6. Now, there were a few skiffy showers in the forecast. Hastings often misses some of those, but as we see there, it is a dead 6 officially, and the running rail in the true position. Sam Collett will ride Igraine, one of the favourites, along with Falar in the Hawke's Bay Cup, and she will be joining us. Shortly, Bill Thurlow will join us to talk about Glory Days and Beyond the Fort. Glory Days in the Sydney Cup and Beyond the Fort in the Warstep Stakes. But how about the man that paints the picture, or has painted the picture of Winx's runs so many times? In Victoria, it's been Matthew Hill. In Sydney, it's been Darren Flindell. So many memorable races that he has helped describe, and now he has to set up for her last race, Winx. Here's Darren's thoughts on her best.
She's won 4 Cox Plates, 4 Chipping Nortons, and now 4 George Riders. Here's the world champion, Winx.
I'm truly blessed that I've been able to be a part of this, and my voice is going to be on the replays for decades to come when they listen back to it. The heart beats a lot stronger, and sometimes a couple of minutes before you just start going, stay relaxed. And I probably won't appreciate it all until when it's over. Calling her brings a lot of pressure, responsibility, but certainly a good pressure to have. I've never seen anything like her. I mean, there's been other horses that have been outstanding, but for her to just keep this going, to never lose and never really look like losing, and to break every record, to win Cox Plates 4 times, the Chipping Norton, the George Ryder, it's incredible that a horse could stay at that premium level for so long. She's clearly the best. It's going to be a big loss to the industry because she's brought so many extra people. For instance, my dentist, who has no interest in horse racing whatsoever, but he knows I'm a caller. And every time I go to him, he always wants to talk about Winx. I think that sort of sums it up, that people that had no interest, no knowledge of horse racing are fully aware of who she is. I'll try and keep it composed. I don't think I'll get emotional, but you never know, because I've only been back in Australia calling for 4 years, so I've sort of been a part of her journey the entire way. So I do feel a bit of a bond with her. She's been an absolute Australian icon. When she wins, the crowd will go berserk. There won't be a dry eye in the house.
Glory Days, Sam Collett looking for her first Group 1 winner, and you've got it, Sammy. Glory Days for Bill Thurlow wins the Barfoot and Thompson Auckland Cup. What a moment for Sam Collett and Bill Thurlow as well, the Waverley trainer. They've come to town and they've got it with the mare by Red Giant, Glory Days. She'll win the Cup.
What's it like to win an Auckland Cup?
Oh, it's unbelievable, really. I don't know what to say. I think the horse has just said it all, really, to be fair. No, actually, I just can't believe it, but we've done it.
Okay, Sydney Cup beckons. Will you book a flight?
Well, we'll just take her home and see, yeah, but there's a good chance, yeah.
There's a bit of noise coming from here. What about for your owners, your crew of owners? What will this mean to them?
Oh, it's huge to them. I mean, they've been in the industry for a long time and they're just ecstatic. I mean, it's big for anybody, whether it's, someone from the country or a big trainer to win an Auckland Cup. It's massive, so, it means a lot to everybody.
That was 5 weeks ago. Now the celebrations after Glory Days won the Barfoot and Thompson Auckland Cup there at Ellerslie. And yes, as time would have it, Glory Days went back to Waverley with Bill Thurlow, was found to be in tip-top shape and she is now in Sydney with Bill preparing for the Sydney Cup. And Bill very kindly joins us on the phone on the Punters Lounge Live, brought to you with the help of Valachi Downs. Bill, how's the build-up been for Glory Days, given everything that's surrounding Winx?
Yeah, so it's been very good. From our perspective, we're really happy with the horse. Where we're staying is really nice and quiet at Richard Litt's barn, so we've kept right away from all the obviously all the hype around Winx, but at this stage. But yeah, there's a huge amount of press around Winx here, and rightly so too. So it's going to be a massive day. Yeah.
Tell us about what Glory Days has done post the Auckland Cup and how she's travelled to where you are now preparing for today.
So she had a quiet week, and then she had a jump out at home over ground and went very, very well. We're really happy with her through that. Went to Whanganui, had a gallop between races, and she come through that really well. We're really pleased. She had a good hit out, and she'd come through it well. Travelled to Auckland well, travelled over here well, so we haven't really had any issues. And each day she's been here, she seems to have just kept improving. Really, she looks good. Yeah, we're pretty happy with her. She hasn't done much work here. We think we've done enough work before she left home, so she's only just kept ticking over, really. But you know, she's a very good, clean-winded horse, as I've said before. So we're very happy with her condition.
Sounds like there have been very few reasons for concern, which is a massive positive going into a race like the Sydney Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. We've really got, you know, we haven't had any hiccups, and there's no reason for concerns. I suppose we've just got to, you know, see this afternoon whether she's good enough in that company. And if the travel hasn't affected her, but it certainly doesn't look like it has to us. And you know, we're very happy with the horse. So no, we haven't got any concerns at this stage anyway.
In the Auckland Cup, we saw her ridden quietly, and she eased into the race before exploding at the top of the Ellerslie Straight. What are you thinking tactically for her? Is it a case of, well, she's drawn wide, she'll go back and you'll give Corey Brown similar instructions?
Yeah, I think so. We'd be pretty near certain that's what will happen, as long as everything unfolds how we'd like it to. But she would, from that draw, she'd definitely be wanting to go back, and she would just mind her own business for a good part of the race, I think. And if she's, you know, got the finish that she had at Auckland, hopefully she can get it late. But you know, as I say, there's a different class here, and it might not be quite as easy as that, but that's going to be our plan anyway.
It's not an easy thing, but I know you had a lot of quiet confidence before the Auckland Cup after what you saw in her lead up to it and how well she did in winning sort of the Avondale Cup. Do you have that quiet confidence, even though, as you say, you're not quite sure of some of the form lines in the race?
Well, we're very happy with our horse, and so I'm very confident that she'll acquit herself well. But you know, as I've said, we're not sure about, you know, some of the other horses. They might be just too good for us on the day. Who knows? But very happy with her, and you know, I know she'll stay, and that's a massive attribute when you're going 2 miles. So you know, and a lot of them probably won't. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't got too many negatives at this stage anyway. If we get a nice run, you know.
A couple of hours before the Sydney Cup, I'm sure you'll have an eye on the simulcast screen there at Randwick, because Beyond the Fort line's up in the Warstep Stakes. Now, in many respects, you threw her in the deep end at her third start into a New Zealand Oaks, but I understand that was very much a part of your plan, and she was excellent when running second. How has she been since then?
She's been really, really good. We're really happy with her. She also went to Whanganui the same day as Glory Days and had a gallop between races, and she galloped really well and as well. And we just think she's gone forward. Her work's been good. She travelled to Christchurch on. She got down there Wednesday afternoon, and she stabled at Neil Ridley's yard. And I spoke with Neil last night, and he said she hasn't missed a beat. She's eating well, and he is really happy with her. So would be no reason why she wouldn't run a pretty good race, I wouldn't think.
How highly do you rate her? Obviously, I mean, on the face of it, that question that I propose is sort of quite silly, because you clearly think a lot of her putting her into a New Zealand Oaks at only her third start. But sort of what's her ceiling, do you think?
Well, she's, it's probably hard really to line her up, but her two races that she won over a mile, obviously a maiden race and a rating 65 race, she did it really well. And she showed us all the way through that she really would stay. So going into the Oaks was, we were throwing her in the deep end a little bit, but we'd run out of time with her. She's a big late maturing filly, and we just couldn't get at her any earlier. So we just had to nurse her as long as we possibly could, and we did end up getting there. But I think if we could have had another month or 6 weeks up our sleeve, who knows? It could have been a different result, but. Going forward into today, she's done well, and she'll be a little bit more experienced, obviously, with that run down there, and there's no reason why she wouldn't run well, I wouldn't think. So we think quite a lot of her. I think she's going to make a really, really nice staying horse, later on. She's still got a bit of maturing to do, but she will make a very nice staying type.
Appreciate your thoughts on her beyond the fort. Sounds like a lot of confidence, and all the best with not only her but Glory Days at Randwick there competing in the Sydney Cup. Hopefully it's another big day for you, Bill, and all the best. Bill Thurlow there joining us to speak about two big chances. Excellent to get his thoughts, and he's a part of Winx Day, day 2 of the championships. Lisa Allpress has a ride against Beyond the Fort. She's going to be aboard Secret Allure in the War Step Stakes, and she'll be on the line speaking to us when the Punters Lounge Live continues after this.
Even though you try so hard, you never let it show. You wouldn't open up your heart, except to let me go. Ooh, 'cause it could have been you. Just this time.
Queen of Diamonds, Stark Karen, Sentimental Miss, Beyond the Fort up against the inside, 100 to go, Sentimental Miss, Stark Karen, Lake Clementina, Beyond the Fort, the inside, Sentimental Miss will win the Oaks.
Lisa Allpress having beaten Beyond the Fort on Sentimental Miss in the Group 1 Albasti Equworld New Zealand Oaks, will ride Secret Allure and try to beat Beyond the Fort again and others in the War Step Stakes, which starts at 3:24. And Lisa Allpress kindly joins us on the Punters Lounge Live. Good morning, Lisa. Busy day ahead of you and a number of good rides. You must be excited.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jason. It is a busy day, but it's what it's all about.
Speaking about Secret Allure, how good was she when she won the New Zealand Bloodstock Air Freight last week?
Yeah, she was really dominant. It was a great performance, sort of settled quite a way back with the hot speed out in front, and she's just lucky, really. I got some nice runs up through them, and she didn't have to do a lot mid-stages. She probably, had to put the stick around her a little bit towards the end, but that was obviously just with the way the track conditions were. I was just sort of making her get to the line, and she did it really well. She was pretty good.
Just speaking about track conditions, we're seeing you at about the 300s, just get to Emily Margaret, and then at the 200 you level, or the 150 even, and then you go past. How did you feel the track played, and what were conditions to your feel?
Yeah, it was definitely better out that day. That's sort of the best part of the track out where I was on her. They'd had a bit more rain going into that meeting, and obviously a fair bit of rain the day before. So they've had a pretty good few days leading up to this meeting, but it was a sort of a heavy dew this morning. So the track did walk a little bit slow this morning, but I'm sure it's going to improve during the day.
She's a $2.40 favourite. She steps back up to 2,000 metres, a trip that she has had success over at stakes level. What are you expecting from her, and what have the reports been about her during the week?
Well, I haven't sort of spoken a lot to Lisa during the week, but by all accounts, I know she came through the race well, which, so they decided to continue on. If there was any trouble, they wouldn't have run her this weekend. So I'm sure she's done well, and they'll be looking forward to seeing how she goes again today over the 2,000 metres.
Tactically, are you going to be looking to sort of apply something similar to last week, allowing her to settle before working into it? What are you thinking? How are you reading it?
Well, I think so. 3-year-old fillies, they sort of take a bit to sort themselves out, and so long as you can sort of create your own space and your own little bubble and stay out of interference, there shouldn't be any reason that it won't be similar run to last week, but an extra few hundred metres might test a few more out again, and hopefully she'll be dominant and run over the top of them.
Are you how aware are you of a horse like Beyond the Fort and where she'll position? Are there other runners that you'll be keeping a close eye on?
Yeah, well, they're all there trying their hardest, so they're all out there to win. And obviously, Beyond the Fort is a very nice filly, and I've seen its races all the way through, and it was a great effort last start in the New Zealand Oaks. So she'll definitely be very hard to beat, but I'm pretty happy with my horse, and she deserves to be the favourite.
Coca-Cola Canterbury Gold Cup, you're aboard Residential once more, and she must have pleased you last week.
She did. It was a bit of a funny run race, and I just watching the replay, and I just think maybe I did put Residential in the race a little bit too early. I could have sat a little bit longer coming into the straight, so I think that'll be my plan today. She drops 2 kilos off the Who Dares Wins that was beat her quite comfortably last start, so I think if I just ride maybe a little bit more patient race today, coming around that corner, hopefully the placings will change.
Do you have any concerns at all about the extra distance?
No, I don't. No, she's a nice mare. She's a big mare. She's pretty genuine. She tries hard. She was a lovely ride. She was just a pleasure to ride, so no issues.
That's excellent information, and you can see Authentic Paddy is the $4.20 favourite for the Coca-Cola Canterbury Gold Cup. Atlanta Peach has been the best back runner in this market, into $5.50. Residential is $7.50 along with Gorbachev. Who Dares Wins is trimmed up into $6, and Gallant Boy's just gone out a little bit to $7.50. Just before 12:30, Lisa, you ride a 2-year-old for Fraser Aurette Trifolium, and you've been aboard her a couple of trials leading into this. What can you tell us about her most recent trial and how ready she'll be for today?
Yeah, you look at it and think it's a bit strange to trial a 2-year-old the week of the races and then a trip down south, but she's quite a solid little thing. Like she's the trial before she was pretty fat, so Fraser decided to give her another quiet trial at Waverley, and I liked the trial at Waverley. She settled well, and I only asked her sort of the last 50 to 20 metres, and I felt she hit the line quite well.
Expectations for today, pretty confident?
Well, I think so. She's had one start for a win, and she's had plenty of experience on the track, so through trials and jump outs. And I know that Fraser gave her a jump out just before she had her first race day start the week leading up to it. So it's pretty much a similar plan, just a different track.
So she's $2 and All About Magic is $2.60. Khitan Warrior is $4.80. It's the gavelhouse.com race number 2, and you can bet on option 841. Race number 5, very impressive winner from last week, backs up this week, Heading Ngawe. Now, this horse trialled nicely, Lisa, and this looked like a very dominant performance over 1,400 metres.
Yeah, it was. He was still a bit big in condition last week, so I'm sure he would have trimmed up for today. He will be better on a wetter track, so I would be a little bit wary on the conditions today if the track comes back and backing up a week later, and he goes out to 61 kilos today. So it's a bit tough for him, but he is a big horse. He will be able to carry weight. I think he's going to be a very exciting winter galloper.
Yeah, that's a really good lead there, preempting the question about the 61 kilos. We're speaking with Lisa Allpress, who has a full book of rides at Riccarton today. And heading Ngawe is $3.10 in favourite for the Norwood family machinery. Reyes is $6. In commission also nearer the bottom of the page there you can see the Sparkle at $5 and Pin-Up Cope at $5.50. Look, Lisa, it's a rating 72. You've hinted that this galloper is potentially in for a very good winter. Do you know what connections sort of have in their sights, a target?
I'm not 100% sure. I know they've gone on holiday, so they decided the horse should come down here for a little holiday as well. So, no, I don't really know what they're thinking with him, but he is a very nice horse in the making. I've had a bit to do with him last season, and they've taken their time. And he was actually nominated for the Derby as a 3-year-old. They did think that much of him, so he is a very good galloper, and I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of him towards the middle of the winter.
Certainly a galloper to click on the star on the website and make him a favourite, if not today, because of potentially an improving track definitely into the winter. So looking at Lisa Allpress's Book of Rides, Field the Breeze, Lady Beeley, Tom Brown's Our Whip and Sebring's Delight alongside Trifolium, heading Ngawe, Secret Allure and Residential. A couple of short priced horses there and a few that will start favourite. Lisa, I'm going to put it on you. Who would you nominate as your best chance today?
I'm going to go the two from last week. I can't split them, Secret Allure and, actually we'll just go Secret Allure. I'm a little bit worried the track might improve too much for here in Ngawe, but like I said, he is pretty good.
Excellent. Lisa Allpress with her thoughts there. Secret Allure her best, and also a lot of time for heading Ngawe, so maybe backing them both individually and putting them in a multi could be a way to go. We thank Lisa for her time and wish her all the best. From one leading female jockey to another, Group 1 winners we have on the Punters Lounge Live. It's Sam Collett, who will talk about Igrain and other horses next.
Sam Collett looking for her first Group 1 winner, and you've got it, Sammy.
Sam just said to me she's trying hard not to cry, and Sam, that is just how massive this is for you. You've been a champion jockey and you've got a first Group 1. Well done.
Thank you. It's trying to keep up with mum and dad, and to get this is great. I know they quinted the race in 91, so that was pretty cool. I was here as a kid that day, not that I remember much, but it's awesome, and just so wrapped, especially for Bill. He deserves it. I'm wrapped that he entrusted me with a ride on this mare, and she's as tough as they come.
Eleven months ago, Sam Collett went to the Cambridge trials and got leagued aboard a daughter of Galileo that was sourced by Paul Moroney and in the care of Robert Prescott, and duly performed really nicely in that trial. Igrain since then has managed to win 4 races and some high quality ones at that, including the Counties Cup. Sam Collett joins us right now. Igrain herself is into her third start this preparation. How much are you looking forward to lining her up in the Hawke's Bay Cup today, Sam?
Yeah, really looking forward to riding her, Jason. She's been a mare that I've been fond of as soon as I sort of swung a leg over at the trials, like you say, and she's been very good to me, and her run last start had a lot of merit over the mile, and the step up and trip today should be right up her alley.
How have you assessed her 2 runs overall? Obviously you're happy enough with that performance. Do you think she's going to be ready to rock and roll for the Royston Hospital Hawke's Bay Cup?
Yeah, most definitely. She obviously has won on all types of track surfaces, and any rain doesn't worry her. Some of her best runs have been on sort of genuine slow ground, but as long as the track's not too hard today, which it shouldn't be, it's come up as a dead six, it should be ideal for her to still be able to be as efficient as she can be.
What are you thinking tactically? Obviously she has shown good speed in the past. She was excellent in the Ssangyong Counties Cup at Te Rapa and the Sky City Hamilton Waikato Cup. You're positive on her. Where would you like to see her in the running?
probably quite handy. She has drawn out a bit, which is probably more a help than a hindrance. I think she's not sort of really quickly away into stride. I know that there are obviously the horse of Ebbets is going to go forward. It generally leads, having ridden her before. I know she's got quite good tactical speed too. So as long as I'm thereabouts, I think the key thing to her is to keep her in a rhythm. She's just a real genuine staying there, and she can operate off a hot tempo as well as being able to lead too. So as long as she's in a good rhythm, I'm sure she'll finish the race off very well.
Filar there is at $3.20. Is the favourite at the moment. Igraine obviously well in commission. Also, you've got Jack Star there. Sam, it seems as though there are a number of horses that do like to settle midfield or back in the running, so there is a good chance you'll find a decent spot with cover.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like I said, Hawke's Bay is probably a track that should suit her as it's playing pretty genuine. It can tend to suit horses that want to race closer to the speed. So I think I'll be pretty happy with where I end up as long as it's sort of in the first 2 or 3.
Other horses on the day that you ride, you're on board Swiss Watch. Not so kindly drawn Swiss Watch. What are you thinking tactically for it?
No, he hasn't drawn that well, but he's obviously a horse that likes to go forward too. I have ridden him previously last time in, and he obviously won well at Taranaki a couple of starts back before just having a miss at Auckland last time. So I think he's fresh up. He hasn't had a run for a little while, and I dare say the plan will probably to be positive and try and put him thereabouts. I haven't obviously talked to Sean yet on his tactics, but that's sort of how I saw it.
He's 2 from 2 so far at Hawke's Bay over the 1,400 metres, so he does look well placed. And look, he's responded well, hasn't he, when he's been able to find the front and be rated?
Yeah, he has. He gave me the impression when I rode him that he's one of these horses that can actually sprint twice, which is a very handy trait to have. And I mean, as long as he clears the gates cleanly, I dare say, if he posses himself up thereabouts, then I can just get a little bit of a break at some stage, that he'll find a good kick for me.
Other horses in the race include Lamia Stella and Langkawi. They're both well in commission. How much respect do you have for their chances against you?
Yeah, you always have to respect them. Obviously, they're horses that are both in quite good form, and Langkawi's been going very well, and I guess it all just depends on how easy a run I can get. And within the first couple hundred metres as to how much gas I'm going to have left at the end.
Just under 3 weeks ago, you rode another horse for Sean Ritchie and Chris Rutten. He's a colt by Zakinto's, had the one start, State Line. What can you tell us about the feel that he gave you in that trial?
I quite liked him. I've ridden him obviously twice at the trials, and it wasn't a boredom. His only start at the races, which I believe he struck a bit of an off track that day. He gives me the impression that the good footing today is going to suit him. He was pretty economical across the ground at the trials, and he hasn't drawn that fantastic either, but I guess we'll just have to be positive. These 2-year-old races are generally sort of won within the first couple of 100 metres, so I'll probably be pretty positive on him and try and get right there.
Okay, so that horse at the moment is $12. So we've got Pusagur at $2.30, Carly at $3.30. They dominate the market at the moment. A bit of support for Mongolian Heaven. Let's look at Samantha Collett's Book of Rides at Hastings. It begins with State Line in the second. Also for Cody Cole, Vainglory. For Awesome for Alan Sharrock, Finney's Volley for John Barry. Into Swiss Watch and Igraine. And then closing the card, race number 8 with the Helix. So the shortest priced runner that you ride is Igraine. Outside of Igraine, Sam, who's probably the best of those?
Look, I'm actually quite happy with how Vainglory's come up. She's obviously dropping back from a St. Leger trip, but her runs have been encouraging enough this time in without having much luck at Auckland. She's drawn a 1 gate today, and the form around her previous start was strong. She comes into the race with 54, and I think we'll probably try not to look riding her a little bit handier today, try and put her thereabouts, and I think she'll run quite well.
And in terms of Igraine, just before you go, is it a case of pressing the go button and thinking with confidence that she should be winning today?
Oh, I mean, I'm always confident when I ride her. Obviously, I'm really confident now she's up to a favourable trip, and as long as I can, get a nice run in transit, I think, she's going to be right there at the pointy end of things.
Excellent stuff. Samantha Collett, Group 1 winner. Now, she won the Auckland Cup on Glory Days. She has Igraine, the favourite, for the Royston Hospital Hawke's Bay Cup at Hastings, and she's making her way to the racecourse as we speak. We thank her for her time on the Punters Lounge Live. So that's a look at some of the leading chances here in New Zealand at Riccarton and also Hastings. We switch back to focusing on Royal Randwick. Day 2 of the championships and Winks Day. Bruce McAvaney loves the Wondermere, and here are his thoughts on her career.
She's home. But Winks moves up on the outside. Winks takes the lead from Galo Shock, and here's her second, Queen Elizabeth.
Look at this, it's the best thing you've ever seen.
On the throne for 25 consecutive wins to equal the record of the Great Black Caviar. Wins it easily.
It's difficult to know, but I would have thought she sits right alongside Far Lap as our benchmark. I've grown up all my life believing that I wasn't old enough to see Australia's greatest horse, but I actually now believe that I have seen Australia's greatest horse. So, in my opinion, we've never had a horse that has achieved so much. She's come and won 4 consecutive springs without defeat, 4 consecutive autumns without defeat, and the long list of 33 consecutive wins. So, we'll never see the likes of her again. A once-in-a-lifetime mare, racehorse, has made a big difference to this country. She's shined a light on a sport that's needed it over the last 4 years, and in 100 years' time, blokes like us will be standing here and saying, gee, I wish I'd been around when Winks was racing. So how lucky we are.
Some ground. Trap for Fools has the running at the 300 metres. John Snow back to the inside. Kingswood.
Come on, here she comes. Here she come on.
Trap for Fools at the 200.
Come on.
Kingswood
Go. Come on, Kingswood. She's got him. She's got him. She's got him. She's got him. She's got him.
Now Winks is storming home.
I do adore her. She's been a big part of my broadcasting life, and I'm going to miss her. So yeah, but I've got a lot of good things to think about because she's done so much. So life won't be the same, but there's only one. There's only one Winks.
I love her. Come here, Missy, and give me a hug.
She shot away in the Epsom. It's all over. Bowman high in the irons gives the big salute. Oh, she's a wrecking ball, Winks. And there's the 7th kick in the fence. Here's 9 in a row. She breaks all the records today. She's a champion, Winks. 11 in a row, and she gives these a nice toweling back-to-back wins in the Chipping Norton. It's been won by some of the legends, and that she is. The grandstand shaking. She's racing royalty, this mare. There's 17 in a row. And the champ makes it 20 in a row. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Away she goes, the champ. And this is an Australian record of 16 Group 1s. This is a silver jubilee moment on the throne for 25 consecutive wins to equal the record of the Great Black Caviar. Winks right down the outside, powering away from them. Invictus, Prince Dargetto and Kevin Turry, but how soft for Winks. It's her birthday, and what a way to celebrate. Long live the Queen. She starts to draw clear for a world record of 23 Group 1s.
Winks' 24 Group 1s. Of those, 12 of them have been at Royal Randwick, and she will aim up to win 25 Group 1s today. And if things work out and Very Elegant is able to win the Australian Oaks for Chris Waller, then that would take him to 99, and Winks could make it 100 Group 1 wins for his career, a quarter of which would have been notched up by the great daughter of Street Cry. Time now, though, to take you back to Randwick for a preview of that card and the best with Brad Gray and Aidan Rodley. Hi again, Aidan.
Hi Jason, welcome back to Randwick. And yes, it is all about Winks, but it's also about the punt, and we're going to bring in Brad Gray. Great to have you here in person rather than just down the phone for the Punters Lounge. And it is about Winks. Are you getting all that nice fluffy feels?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, the build-up's been amazing. Every front page of the papers over here has seen Winks, which is unbelievable for racing. The coverage has been outstanding. There was one punter here at 5 a.m. He was just the keenest to be here, the first in line. So props to him. But yeah, we're awaiting a massive day, and hopefully she she does us all proud and sweeps down the outside, and the fairy tale's complete.
Yep, the fairy tale's what we're after, but we're also after making some money. First race we're going to have a look at is the Australian Oaks, and Very Elegant has been impressive on the way through. James McDonald and Chris Waller combined. She's short in the market. How did you assess her in this one, Brad?
Yeah, she is really skinny. I was actually more confident about her chances in the Vinery than I am here. That said, I've still got her on top. I tried very, very hard to poke holes in her case, but I couldn't. The more times I watched the end of that Vinery, and that's the replay we're going to have a look at now, is just that last 50 metres. I think some people will be thinking, oh, frankly Awesome, there's a case that can turn the tables, but that last 50, if anything, she was going away on the line again. So I don't think there's a staying query on her, as we saw her finish off really nicely in the VRC Oaks, even though she ran 7th. She ran the fastest closing splits that particular day. I think the dry track's okay. Obviously, she's a swimmer, but she goes on all surfaces. And she settles in a run now, so she's impossible to knock. Her turn of foot, she'll get out the back and run home, but I think class will prevail with her.
Okay, so no real concerns with the extra distance. Who's the danger, do you think?
Yeah, I probably think a horse like Frankly Awesome, as we said, is a horse that's going to keep building and building and building. She's going to absolutely love this trip. Yeah, but it's hard to make a case for anything else to actually turn the tables. I think those on top of the speed might be suited here because they went very quickly in the Binary. That's not going to be the case in this. So back on top of the ground, I think maybe horses like Scarlet Dream comes back into the mix. Even a horse like Autumn, I wouldn't be surprised to see run a cheeky race. She took off very early in the Binary, and you can completely forgive that. And then you've got the Adrian Knox form, obviously, which a horse like Rock Navarre really ripped home late. So if you're playing around your exotics, which you probably need to do because you've got a very skinny favourite, I'd include a couple of those we mentioned at the end there.
Any love for Clementina or Imelda Mary, the Kiwis?
I haven't seen enough of Imelda Mary, but Clementina for me probably lacks that turn of foot that she needs. If it was she's a horse that apparently prefers dry ground, but she strikes me as a type who'd like a really grinding affair. When you've got a horse like Very Elegant with an outstanding turn of foot, she could win over a mile race. We know how sharp she is. So I think she just might get left at that stage when they dash, maybe at the 600, and then be winding up. She might run a race, but I can't see her winning.
Okay, fair call. Okay, the main event is the Queen Elizabeth Stakes, and it's all about Winks. I think 106 at last count. Obviously, we're looking at Winks out markets and playing around the race. How do you play it from a punting side here, Brett?
From a pure punting perspective, I think this is a great race. That Winks out market, one of the better bets of the day. I know that sounds funny when you're talking about a Winks out market. I think a lot of punters think they're a bit of a novelty, but I think there's money to be made in this race because I'm really keen on He's Eminent. He's the favourite in the market, but I still think he represents a bit of value there. His run in the Rambit was outstanding. That was his first run in 7 months. Off the top of my head, he's an international. He rolls along out in front. And the trick with him is he's a dead set dry tracker. He's never seen a wet track before. And that was purely because overseas, every time he saw one, they scratched him because that's how badly he worked on it. So that suggests that he can improve again. And if he improves a couple of lengths off that, it has him right in the mix. And I think he'll give a little bit of cheek. I think he's the horse today that's going to be at the top of the straight. He'll kick clear by 3 and just give punters a few flutters, 5 seconds of worry. Winks will sweep down the outside and it'll all be okay in the end. But I think he's the horse to give a little bit of cheek.
Yeah, we saw him this week, and he's really come through that Rambit really well. He's really bouncing, and so Mark Todd really happy with him. Outside that, just what about the others? Are you giving Dan Dance much of a chance on the run last time?
She is probably a horse that comes into it more on a wet track for me. That said, you look at that last start run in the Rambit, there was very little between Dance and He's Eminent. He's Eminent is the one with more improvement under his belt, so it's hard to see her turning the tables. But as we know, she's all quality, so she's got to be there somewhere.
Okay, yeah, the Sydney Cup it's a really even race for mine. Obviously, we've got a dominant favourite coming, the International, but in a race where we've got a 56 top weight, it's not a lot top to tail in this one. How have you assessed the 2 miler?
Yeah, you're right. There isn't very much in this handicap now. Doobie, or Doobie, however you pronounce it, is your...
I was going to leave that to you.
Yeah, it's your favourite. The thing with him, he has that Charlie Appleby factor. So with that, you get a bit of a premium now on his price. Yeah. So instead of them slipping under the radar a little bit, everyone's well aware how great this trainer's strike rate is around the world, let alone Australia. In Australia, it's absolutely outstanding. And he's got a profile of an improving horse. He's probably got more scope than polarisation, who we saw win this race already. So he's really hard to go around, but $3.60, $3.40, it's just hard to chime in at that price when he's sight unseen, because you've got to throw in the fact that he's got to have settled in Australia, which is a little bit of a query in itself. So for me, the bet in the race is midterm. His Mannion Cup win was really strong. He ran straight to the front. Jamie Carr was a lovely ride because just rode with momentum. launched at the 1,000 metres, and despite launching at the 1,000 metres and making a really early run, his last 200 metres was still the 4th quickest. So that suggests to me that he's just going to keep running at the end of 2 miles. He's going to make his own luck. It doesn't look to be a lot of speed in the race, so I think he'll be out there rolling along, has to give a big sight. And if you're playing it from a price perspective, I think if you back him each way, you can't miss. And we know Lloyd Williams is a great record in the race.
Okay, a couple of the Kiwis just want to get a quick word on Glory Days and Rondinella, giving them, and even Charles Road. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I really like Rondinella. There is a staying query. I know Roger James has come out during the week and said that. But down in the weights and the run that she's going to get in this race, I think she'll get every chance to run it out. And I thought her run was very, very good there last start. She was left exposed a long way from home. Yeah. That's not going to be the case here. And I thought Big Jig was entitled to go past her a lot easier than what he did at the finish. And he's a pretty good barometer for these races because he generally runs well at this level over this kind of trip. So I think she'll run a really sneaky race. I actually got a second. Nice. With Doobie in third, midterm to win. As far as the other one, I've been told that Glory Days has a little bit of a different profile to what we typically see of these Kiwi stayers. She's actually got a turn of foot. Yeah. She'll come from the back and rip home. So I'm certainly keeping it safe. I couldn't find a spot for her in the top 4, but I certainly do respect that because she nearly won over the mile a couple back, didn't she? Which suggests that she has got that acceleration which you need to win.
Absolutely. The mares go around in the Legacy Stakes over the 1,600 metres. Does feature the Kiwi consensus, but at the top of the market, Elise, how are you assessing the mares in this?
Really tricky race. For those punters out there playing the quaddie, you get a free kick in the first leg with Winks, but these last 2 legs with the capacity field of mares, you might have to go a little bit wider. Elise is the favourite. I think she's a good risk at the price. It's funny to say, but I know she won the Flight Stakes and this race last year as a 3-year-old, but for me there's a little bit of query on her at a strong mile nowadays. We've seen it happen with horses in the past. A good one is Global Glamour. She saw out the mile and won the double, the 1,000 Guineas and the Flight Stakes in Sydney, but then came back as an older horse and was more of a sprinter. I think that's her go. Yeah. More of a 1,200, 1,400 metre explosive horse. She didn't really finish off in the Doncaster there last start. So for me, I think Prompt Response is a good bet. Comes out of a really strong race, the George Ryder. Obviously, Winks form, there's no better form than Winks. And then you look at the other 2 horses that finished in front of her. They've come out and run the Doncaster Quinella, Dreamforce and Brutal. So that's a really strong reference. She ran second in this race last year. She's probably going just as well. She's going to have to be somewhere in the money. I'd be surprised if she's not a length away at the finish. Whether that's enough to win, I think it's going to be a bit of a blanket finish. We'll see how we go. And Dyslexic is the other one I want to really keep safe at massive odds because she's a horse that's a dead set dry tracker. And the fact that she's run as well as she has on a couple of wet tracks, I think that holds her in good stead here. She's a horse with a really sharp turn of foot.
Okay, before we get your bets of the program, I just want to touch on the arrow field at Group 2 and just get your thoughts on the Kiwi horse Avantage, who was pretty impressive winning last time out. How does she shape up and what is a stronger race?
Yeah, it is a really deep race this year. It's hard to get a gauge on some of these because you've got the proven Group 1 performers up the top, but there's a question mark on exactly how well they're going. Your Zusains, your lean, mean machines. So you've got to take a bit of a leap of faith if you like those particular runners. Avantage for me is short enough at the moment. I think you'll get a little bit better because of the depth of this particular field. Classic Legend is hard in the market and he's another horse with untapped potential. The one I landed on, actually the best bet of the day here, is Trope. It's a Hawks trained colt. He's only had 2 starts, but he jumped from maiden company to listed company and ran an absolute bottler, came from last. Hopefully they run along here, which they look like they will, and I think he'll be absolutely rattling home. He's one of those horses that I think you can just catch before the market really cottons on to exactly how good he is. So hopefully, we're one step ahead of the market and can land that prize.
Okay, we're getting it nice and early. Anything else on the day that's sort of taking your fancy?
Yeah, there's probably 2 bets I like. South Pacific Classic for the 3-year-olds. This is another really deep race. Green Eon is a horse for Björn Baker, and what I love about this horse is he's so professional. He makes his own luck, jumps quickly, stacks them up, and then he sprints home really quick at the end of his races. So I think he's another horse with unlimited ability. We can catch him nice and early before he goes on to bigger and better things. And then race 3, the provincial final, Bobbing, is a horse that just peaked on his run there first up. He'll be flashing home, and again, it's another race with plenty of speed. So it's a bit of a theme of the day. There's a lot of races here with a lot of speed in it, so don't be frightened if you like something coming from the back.
Absolutely. You've really whet our appetite for a massive day of racing, Brad. Thanks for joining us here, and your best luck with your selections. Hopefully we can follow you in and make $1, eh?
Yeah, hopefully there's a few winners for the punters out there.
Sounds good to me, Jason. There we go. We've got the scene set. Let's go and hit the totes and hit the bookmakers and get involved in the massive day of racing here at Randwick.
Good stuff from Brad Gray, and great to get his hair live on trackside. Also, we've got some selections from Ben Ascari, but before we get those, here are the Karaka Kiwis lining up at Randwick today. In the 6th, Dance Dance Dance, the Queen Elizabeth. She's by Master Craftsman and Night Dancer, as you might know. Race number 6, the Queen Elizabeth, Dance Dance Dance. In the Oaks, Imelda Mary with Clementina Bye Bye Bell, Furlax, Savabeel and Cape Blanco, the sires for those. Also Miss Moana is by Uncle Mo in the Australian Oaks. Race number 8, the Sydney Cup, Charles Road or Sir Charles Road by My Boy Charlie. Yogi Raised the Flag and Zakata by Zabeel. Also, Top of the Range by Savabeel, Rodrigo, High Chaparral. Race number 9, the Coolmore Legacy Stakes Unforgotten by Fastnet Rock. So those are the NZB Karaka Kiwis. Just a reminder for our retail customers that there is a Winx special on offer. If she wins by 6.5 lengths or more, then that special price is $5. Retail customers only, that's option 1311. Call that through to your operator, the Winx special, if you think that she will win by 6.5 lengths or more. Let her down, you. That's what you'll be saying. 3 or more wins for Chris Waller today. This is option 1076, and if he trains 3 or more today, you'll get $5 if you take this option. Ben Ascari previewing the card for us, and here a summary of his best out of Caulfield. Well, his very best is in the 8th, Eduardo, who's apparently trialled up a beauty for his resumption. Other bets include Steel Prince in race 4, Sacharo in race 6, or Sakaro, Halverson in race 7, and Poetic Charm in race number 9. So Ben Ascari suggested bets, and again, you can check those out on the Punters Lounge tab of tab.co.nz. Back into the New Zealand racing on the other side of this quick break. Thad Taylor to talk money moves, Greg O'Connor, and also Bevan Sweeney.
It's like I just can't miss. I was made for this. I show the world I'm stronger. I'm gonna push it harder. Gonna climb up higher. It's like I just can't miss. I was made for this. I show the world I'm stronger.
This is the scene out of Christchurch and Riccarton Park. Reasonably clear skies presenting for Coca-Cola Canterbury Gold Cup Day. And the track there you can see a dead 6. Shortly to Greg O'Connor, who has also walked the track, to get the latest information there and some of his best bets on the program. But right now on the Punters Lounge Live, so very good morning to Thad Taylor. Thad, has it been a busy 24 hours or has it been a little bit subdued, like a calm before the storm?
I think it might be a little bit of a calm before the storm, Jason, to be honest. Look, I guess there's been that trepidation around track conditions. I think during the week we were thinking that perhaps Hastings could be in that slow range. We've gone up a dead 6. So that has changed things a little bit as well. And look, Riccarton's bounced back brilliantly as well. So people just taking stock at this stage, but there's still some very, very good betting fields.
What have the horses been that have sort of caught your attention, attracting money?
Yeah, look, there are a couple at both venues. Disturbance continues to be extremely well back. Going for 4 in a row, he's really caused us some headaches, has Disturbance. Langkawi at Hawke's Bay's been a shortener, as has Mr. Universe as well. And in the Easter Cup, Atlanta Peach going up against Authentic Paddy. And so impressive on the eye in the rating 72 last time. Big step to wait for age over 2,000, but decent move, 7 into 550 around Atlanta Peach.
Certainly got through track conditions last week outstandingly well at Atlanta Peach. Thanks for that, Thad. We'll check in with you very soon. Greg O'Connor is at Riccarton. Greg, good morning to you. What conditions present this morning to your eye?
Beautiful conditions here. Autumn can do this here in Canterbury. Last week, of course, we raced on a heavy 10. What I'd say about that is the difference between a heavy 10 in autumn, April, as opposed to, say, a Grand National heavy 10 is quite significant. There were horses winning last week, Jason, that traditionally wouldn't have handled a heavy 10 track. So we've had some rain during the week, and I was surprised, as I'm sure you probably were, that it has been upgraded to a dead 6, but I can tell you that's exactly what it is. Been round, had a walk around, spoken to the steward, spoken to David Walsh, who of course would know plenty about the track, and he tells me it's definitely right there on dead 6. So that's what the track has come up today, so expect them not to get as wide, I would think, as they did last week, and there's plenty of form to thumb our way through from last week that it's hard to say where it's going to stack up. We'll find out after a couple of races, I'm picking.
Yeah, certainly. It'll be a watching brief for the first 2 races and getting a little bit of a read there. Where they come, as you mentioned, will be interesting. Will it be as wide as last week or not? We'll start with race number 5 and Here Ngawe, who was so impressive over 1,400 metres in a freshened state following a good trial. $3.20, $6 for Reyes, also $6 Pin-Up Cope, and second favourite is 10 The Sparkle. Thad Taylor, what can you tell us about any action on this race?
You were probably up 2.5 kilograms here in Garwe after that win last start. Has to lug the 61 with Lisa Allpress aboard. Just been a little bit of standoffishness in the marketplace around here in Garwe. Out to $3.20 now from an opening quote of $3. Look, Reyes is having its first start down there at Riccarton. Over 1,600 metres, it's interesting, but there is a good sprinkling for Reyes. Quite a talented performer in the CD there for John O'Benner and Holly Wynyard. Reyes at $6, there's some interest. Willing to forgive Neeson as well at $10. Led them up over 1,800 on a heavy track last time. Back to a mile, gets a dead 6, could lead them a merry chase, and they're willing to take a bit of a punt around Neeson out there at $10 as well. And a bit of money for some outsiders. There's always money for Teddy Twinkletoes. The Parsons have welcome in the race at $13, a sprinkling there. So to be honest, it's the top 3 favourites in the race. They're a little bit cold. Here in Garwe, The Sparkle and Pin-Up Cope, Jason.
Okay, that's interesting indeed. Yeah, Shane Brown with Reyes and also La Turk in the first race. How about the speed map presented by formpro.co.nz and Form Pro Ratings? Neeson and Hirangawe do look like they will be contesting the speed. What will happen with the Sparkle, raw material, horses like that, Greg O'Connor? Is this sort of how you read it, with sort of inside, outside, Neeson, Hirangawe?
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. Expect both of them to go forward as they did last week. Hirangawe was really strong. We'll have an opportunity to have a look at the way he kicked up the Riccarton straight and just kept on going. Yes, he has a rather large impost here today of 61 kilos, but he was so impressive here. He was there to be shot down. Lisa Allpress has an outstanding book of rides here today. That's why she's come up $1.50 favourite for the Jockeys Challenge. And he was strong. He's made it 3 from 8. A bit better track conditions today. I don't think it'll be a problem at all, as he's only had the one start on a dead track and was winning. Like I said, it was there to be shot down. Fire Lily had her chance, and he just showed he's big, he's raw, and he is going to go on with it for Isaac Lupton, of course, who owns, and Joanne Moss and Lisa Allpress, I'm sure, will give you a great sight. He's top pick, but not by a huge margin. Just spoke to Shane Brown about Reyes. He said, look, both of my two, I would hope that it stayed in the slow range and therefore would give them a great chance. And saying that, they're here. He doesn't bring horses to Riccarton unless they're ready to race, and he believes both La Turk and Reyes will be very competitive today. Others with a chance in the race, Pin-Up Cope, but she's got me a few times. She actually finished 4th in the War Step last year, and the Sparkle has the ability to be in the finish too. But I'll be sticking with the top weight in this one.
Excellent races, the 6th, over 1,200 metres, very competitive sprint race. It's the D. Reynolds Electrical Open Handicap. $4.40 for Disturbance, $6 Signify, $6.50 for Prince Oz and Kiwi Ida, $7 Johnny Jones, and he can fly at $8.50. But you've already discussed the amount of money on Disturbance there. Outside of that, has there been other action?
You can see the tote price of Prince Oz, Jason, and that's reflected in what we're seeing here. Look, he doesn't know how to run a bad race, Prince Oz. He's been freshened up after that run again at Wingatui, where he was very good again, and obviously, competed in the Telegraph Handicap prior to that. Has been to the track and won at the distance. He is just a winner. Look, he's had 20 starts for 8 wins, and most of them have been in a row at his last sort of few starts. So Prince Oz, you would bet with some confidence around him, I would suggest. Look, Disturbance, they've got the money to reinvest. They certainly are. I would suggest this is his toughest test to date, but he's gone 3 in a row. Can't knock him. His supporters are in again. Punters finding it hard to catch Signify these days, Jason. He's got 3 kgs off with BB Hong there, down to 59. Makes him extremely competitive in our eye, but at this stage, not a lot of action around the $6. Johnny Jones, Kiwi Ida, and he can fly, all very, very quiet. Down the page there, Trudeau at $21. A little bit of interest around Trudeau. Obviously, last R72 winner. Steps to this level, but obviously a bit of a talent around Trudeau at 21s. People willing to take a bit of a bet there. But as I said, best lead Disturbance. But if you like Prince Oz, I would certainly be telling you to have $1 on him as well.
Track position all important, and this is the map. Morse code, Trudeau, he can fly, Johnny Jones. Some of the horses that might go forward. Look, again, I wouldn't expect that they'd be punching Morse code out. I could be wrong there, but she certainly seems better with some cover. Pippi Ray is drawn well. Prince Oz probably just behind them. Is this sort of how you saw it, Greg?
Sort of, although it's the toughest race of the day. I know we've got some stakes races to come, but this is an outstanding contest, as is reflected by the tote. You can't knock Disturbance. He's been flying since coming home, and he'll give you a great side again, but I don't think he'll just line up and win. Signify, very, very good here last week. Does go up a kilo on that performance. Here is Signify. This is when they were getting right to the outside. About this point, I wasn't absolutely convinced that he was going to be able to beat Gift of Power. Gift of Power in the green colours there, predominantly green colours we know so well, and Signify behind him, but once he ducked to the inside of Gift of Power, he really found the line. He's on the quick back up here. I'm not worried about that at all. BB Hong claims the 3, and he was very strong to the line. Big chance again, no doubt. But Disturbance on top. Prince Oz, winner of the Stewards, of course. His only run that's been here at Riccarton Park, and he's been freshened up for this, and you just know Neil Ridley will have him ready to go, so I give him a really good chance in this, and obviously Disturbance is on top, and Johnny Jones, who I know for sure Jason will appreciate the better track than he had last week, and he was still very brave in that. So yeah, terrific race. Find the one you like here. You're going to get great each way value.
The New Zealand Bloodstock War Step Stakes is over 2,000 metres for the fillies, and Secret Allure is $2.40 beyond the fort, $3.50. Gee, I think you nailed the pricing of this market, Thad Taylor. They look clearly the two best chances. Have you managed to attract any money?
Look, just over the last couple of hours, Secret Allure has been the one of the two that has been the better backed, but I was saying to you before off air, Jason, it's a little bit like they've cancelled each other out beyond the fort and Secret Allure. No one's quite sure what rein to pull here, and so no one wants to have a bet, and they're waiting for a lead into this market. Look, just over, as I say, over the last couple of hours, Secret Allure, she was so impressive last start, over a mile. Steps to 2,000, the track's going to be a little bit better than it was last time. And beyond the fort, so good, obviously 3 starts and to run second in an Oaks. Deserves to be right in the market. But Secret Allure better back. I've got some roughies here for you, Jason, for our customers that like to bet into trifectas and the like. Thunder Bay at $41 for Michael Pittman, Michael and Matthew. And the other one, 2 Furlax, 2 starts for 2/3 in maiden company, but they obviously have a bit of opinion about the Stephen Woodsford runner, 2 Furlax. But look, best lead is the one we saw last start, Secret Allure, in what we see as pretty much a 2-horse race.
Lisa Allpress very confident about her chances. Bill Thurlow very confident about the chances of Beyond the Fort. This is the Form Pro map. Doesn't look like a heck of a lot of pace. Mohaka wears the blinkers, or be fitted with the blinkers today, and she does have tactical speed. Kilada, you'd reckon, would go forward. And outside of those, what are you thinking here, Greg? It doesn't look like it's going to be overly strongly run, this race.
No, I have to concur with you there, but Jason, the way Secret Allure won last week, we'll go back and have a look at that. 2 starts over the 2,000 metres, second in the Royal Stakes. She's a filly that's in wonderful form. Here's Emily Margaret rolling along in front, and piercing through the middle was Secret Allure. She rounded up Emily Margaret. The way she found the line, you would have to think that today should suit. Beyond the Fort drops back from the Oaks, and we'll have a look at that performance behind Sentimental Miss. She's clearly, the top of the book is where you need to be here. I found one at odds, Moussi d'Orsay. Blinkers go on today. Mike McCann, he's been telling me for a long time this race has been the race for her, and she gets her opportunity today. Krishna Madhu to do the riding. He knows her well, and I think she's the best roughie in the race. And Miss Valencia was very good in that very video we just showed there, running on for 5th, should be suited to the 2,000 metres. The better track will definitely aid her chances. Those latter 2 I've mentioned, look, they're probably not winning chances in the race, as we've had a look at Secret Allure. Now we're going to have a look at Beyond the Fort, finishing second. It's the best bet of the day for Jim Langham. It's a huge day, obviously, for Bill Thurlow. And you're quite right, at just her 3rd start to run second in an Oaks, and she really tried hard as well. So if she can reproduce that performance, then that's her to the inside, of course, of Sentimental Miss. Then she'll give you a great side in this as well. Dylan Turner riding with a black armband today. to mark the passing of Dick Bothwell, and I'm sure he'll be very pleased to get the business done if he can with Beyond the Fort. But the top of the book is where you need to be in the war step of 2019.
Yeah, very sad to hear of the passing of Dick Bothwell, so as have many before me, passing on best wishes and condolences to the family and also close friends of the now late Dick Bothwell. Okay, the Coca-Cola Canterbury Gold Cup is the feature race on the card, and the big boppers. Group 1 winner Authentic Paddy will be looking to line up against Gallant Boy, Tommy Tucker, Who Dares Wins, who was so good last week, Gorbachev, Residential, Atlanta Peach, the money move. How difficult was it to frame this market, Thad Taylor, with a horse like Atlanta Peach in it, who is way out of her grade, but who was so dominant last start?
Yeah, it makes it tricky. I think the trickiest part of it is trying to find the price around Authentic Paddy. If you think you get $4 about a horse that ran fourth at Ellerslie at weight for age conditions behind Dance Dance Dans and Melody Bell, and then third last time out in the main race, the weight for age there at Manawatu and behind Jack Star, and get $4 about that, only about 4 lengths off Melody Bell at Ellerslie. We know he tries hard, weight for age suits him. And to be honest, we haven't had much money for him, Jason. He's been 4 out to 420, so it is a tricky race. You mentioned the move there around Atlanta Peach. She was just so impressive on the eye last time. She does look like a real up-and-comer. Obviously only gets 2 kilograms off Authentic Paddy, so that is a little bit tricky, you would think, but certainly the money's there to suggest Atlanta Peach is a massive chance in the race. Who Dares Wins, great training effort first up there to get the money last time. They're in again on Who Dares Wins. It's a little bit like Disturbance, Who Dares Wins. I put it in the same boat, Jason. Just a horse that they love to back, and they got the chocolates last time. They think Who Dares Wins can go back to back in the race. No money for the white robe winner, Gallant Boy, who comes out of the same race. Residential, very quiet. The Wellington Cup winner, particularly quiet, Gorbachev. I would tread very warily there. Maybe he needs a run. Bit of a sprinkling for Tommy Tucker. We know he never puts in a bad race, but yeah, I'd have to say best backed Atlanta Peach ahead of Who Dares Wins in the Easter Cup.
Yeah, interesting to note the lack of money around Gallant Boy, but speaking of Authentic Paddy, he's probably going to lead. It sounds like Lisa Allpress is wanting to ride Residential similar to how she was ridden last week quietly, so I wouldn't think that she would be contesting the speed. She'll naturally be there from a good draw, but with cover. And Greg O'Connor, the positive, I suppose, for Authentic Paddy is this dead-rated track. I'm sure Connections would be happier with what presents as opposed to a slow track or worse.
Yeah, definitely. He won this race remarkably back in 2016, and he's only won one since, which was the Group 1 Zabeel, of course. But, gee, he was great in the Awapuni Gold Cup. Give us a terrific sight. Robbie Hannam loves this horse, has done right throughout his career, and I'm sure he'll give him every opportunity to take this out. And if he gets an uncontested lead, he'll take all sorts of running down. I thought Gorbachev could win it. If you go back through his form, okay, he won the Wellington Cup, yes. He ran 4th in the New Zealand Cup and won a great race in that. And it's a $100,000 race. There's no chance in the world Bryce Newman would have turned up here unless he believed he could win it, in my opinion anyway, and therefore I think he can. He's at great value. The Grand Campaigners, the Gallant Boys, the Authentic Paddies, the Tommy Tuckers, you've got to respect them, but they are starting to get to the back end of their career. Who Dares Wins is not, and he was great last time. He'll give you a very good sight again, and if he goes like he did last week, and Residential does as well, we're in for a terrific contest. But I reckon Gorbachev, at good odds, can upset them in this year's Coca-Cola Canterbury Gold Cup, but a lot of respect around Authentic Paddy and those that have been there and done it before. And Tommy Tucker, of course, won this race in 2017. So a terrific contest we have, Jason.
Yeah, certainly is. Okay, Greg, over the 9 races, what's your best and how would you spend your $100 today?
Right, I need to redeem myself here, and I'm going to do it in race number 1 with Alonzo. Spoke to Michael Pittman, asked him for his best of the day. He said race number 1. So I'm happy to take a $25 stake to win on it, and $25 later on Gorbachev, and then I'm running a multi this way. Alonzo into Trifolium, who was outstanding on debut, into Gorbachev. I was probably more thinking there Alonzo for a place in the first, but we'll go all out and see how we end up there, and that's the way I'd be playing it anyway, Jason. But Alonzo will get the punters off on the right note, has had no luck lately, and I think he can get the business done today. The best value, Frankie the Fox for me, the son of Ego, can take out race number 4.
Excellent. Thanks, Greg. We'll be with you building into race number 1 with Mark McNamara in the commentary box there. How about the Valachi Downs featured runners today? We've got Secret Allure and Terra Sancta. Race 7, Secret Allure in the War Step, and also Terra Sancta will line up in the race prior to that. At Hastings, I should say. I was wondering why it wasn't in race 6. Terra Sancta at Hastings, my apologies, for Tony Pike. Fresh up. Looking forward to seeing her resume, and I wonder what plans Tony Pike has for her, the daughter of Piero. So those, the Valachi Downs featured runners, and we appreciate Valachi Downs being a part of the Punters Lounge Live on this Saturday morning. From Riccarton, we take you to Hastings and Bevan Sweeney to sort through the form there.
You're gonna find out you can't hold me down. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get it.
I am with Brutal right down the bottom. I tried very hard to look around him, given he's hard in the market, but I just couldn't. 49 kilos is a pretty luxurious weight. As we know, 3-year-olds have got a fantastic record in this particular race.
Boss takes the favourite to the front, Brutal, late in a bit, but he's edging clear from Dreamforce, and it's another Doncaster for Glenn Boss. Brutal.
Ludacris going in on the verse because I've never been defeated and I won't stop now.
My best on the program, I'm going to go for the Mitigator as my best here this afternoon, who lines up in race number 7.
But the Mitigator, easy as you like. The Mitigator won it.
Pretty keen on Marzamino in this particular race. I thought it was a very good price in the market for me from the position I've got it in the run.
Shut the gate time. Marzamino too good. Second's going to be close here between one. Baker Street will just hold it.
I was around Santa Catarina as well. I think the 2 runs in this preparation suggested with a little bit of time the filly has really developed nicely.
Shut the gate. They won't get Santa Catarina. Big day for the owner.
Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there. And they say yeah.
Well, these days, communication's often about emojis, and if one was going to use an emoji, I suppose it would be the fire one for Brendan Popwell, Bevan Sweeney and Brad Gray from last week. And it's Bevan that we join now at Hastings. What are the skies telling you, Bevan? We see a track reading dead 6. How about overhead conditions?
At the moment, okay, but it's pretty changeable. There's a little bit of water around on the ground as I walked in. Dead 6 track conditions. Look, I don't think they'll be running 109 for sure here this afternoon. It'll slow them up a fraction, but all in all, I think we might scrape away with the day where we won't get any extra rain on the day. So that should see us have a really interesting program, Jason, across our 8 races here this afternoon. I thought there was some really nice bets on the program to have a look at throughout the day.
Looking forward to getting into those with you and checking out the market for race number 4 to start. This is how things shape up for the WR Dyer Livestock 1300, where walking by is $3.50. Short fuses come out of this market along with Charlie Horse. Short fuse, one of the favourites for the race before scratchings. Ice Bomb $4.60. Oh for Awesome at 6, and then you've got $8.50 and $9.50 for 13. One Prize, One Goal, and 12 Dream On. Thad Taylor has been giving us all the market moves. Thad, race number 4 at Hastings. What can you tell us?
Yeah, interesting race, Jason. We've got the 3 favourites from 3 very powerful stables walking by for Tony Pike. Oh for Awesome for Alan Sharrock, and obviously Ice Bomb from the Richards stable. And look, I would have expected to see more for any one of them, to be honest, at this stage. But Ice Bomb been quite quiet in the market, resuming today. It hasn't won fresh up before. Oh for Awesome's had a couple of months off. That's having a, we'll almost say, a resuming run. And we haven't seen a lot there. And even Walking By, who won Ellerslie last start at 3.5, pretty steady. This race smells of upset to me. We're seeing money for One Prize, One Goal, a super consistent One Prize, One Goal. Dream On's resuming for the James Wellwood stable at $9. There's some good interest there. And even Satu Lagi, who will probably lead them up for the locals there at around $13, attracting a bit of attention. So a tricky race, Jason, and perhaps we need to go wide in the 4th of the day.
Does have a nose for an upset too, Thad Taylor. Interesting shape of the race that Thad touched on with maybe Satulagi going forward, but there's some pace out wide with What a Smasher and Divine Power. Will they be used to come across? You've got Lookouts in the race and Fresh Up, the son of Nom de Jus, probably looking for ground, and whether 13's going to be too sharp for it to push forward, that might be the case. How did you see things here, Bevan?
Yeah, good points. Look out, no need. I don't think at this sort of trip they can push forward and find a spot. I thought Divine Power, What a Smasher, come across. I actually think one prize, one goal might push across as well. So earlier I saw speed. I've actually changed my thoughts completely on this race in the last hour and a half or so with Short Fuse coming out. I was around Short Fuse to win and then Ice Bomb, but there's a lot of horses here that will just go back and smoke their pipe way back in the field. And I talk of Ice Bomb and Walking By. I thought Satulagi will get an absolute pleasure of a trip in this particular race, so reviewing it again today. The track being a dead six, I think, is a big help because they just won't go as quick as that 109, 108. He is a winner just under the, just on that 110 mark himself. So I think that will suit him right down to the ground. He's at home. The 13's about him against one prize, one go at $8.50, and also the James and Wellwood horse Dream On at what, $9.50. They're too short against this particular horse. So I'm going to have him on top over a pretty smart sort of horse in the 10 Walking By. From that gate though, 4 back the fence on a tempo that might just really get cold in the last middle sort of 400 metres. The 10 in there. Ice Bomb almost fell at its most recent trial. Its form lines last season were midweekish sort of form lines when you go back through them, but very, very consistent. So that's in the mix as well. And Ophir also might be the big upsetter in this particular race. So this is the Gelding by Ocean Park. He's got a bit of quality. Went round in the big money maiden race at New Plymouth at its most recent start and had no luck. But look, I'll go with Satulagi. Jace says, you know, one more. He might just get one more here on the program.
Two good sprint races across New Zealand, one at Riccarton and a listed race at Hastings. It's the 5th on the card. It's the New Zealand Bloodstock Finance Sprint, where Princess Kereru is $4.50, False Lightning's $8.50. You'll note that Amarula has come out of this race. Will start in race 4, all things being equal at Te Rapa tomorrow. Sasso Kobara with the blinkers on, $6.50. You've got 8.5 also for Cavallo Veloce and Volks Lightning. So Peter Mackay still has a very strong hand in the race. Right up the top, carrying 60 kilo, will be Endless Drama, and Note Troy Harris has picked up the ride with Michael McNabb not riding this weekend. What can you tell us about your prices and the market's reaction to them here, Thad?
Yeah, it's an excellent betting race, Jason, as you mentioned, and Princess Kereru deserving favourite. She'd be a mare you'd love to own. She's super consistent. She never runs a bad race, and she's at $4.50. Certainly steady in this market, or certainly solid in this market. Look, Volts Lightning's an interesting runner. Beat Princess Kereru home last time. I think when we priced the market during the week, Jason, we were probably banking on a 7 or 8 at Hastings, and Volks Lightning was out at $10. Look, we immediately had $2,000 at $10 on Volks Lightning. Now we've got a dead 6. I'd suggest that customer would be quite happy with proceedings. Currently $8.50 around Volks Lightning. He will try hard again. We've also had $2,000 on the local Hugo the Boss out at $19. 2,000 to return 38,000. So it is a deep race, as I mentioned. Look, Ricky Tiki Tavi's another one that continues to get back. He's a consistent performer. He'd be a chance. No money for Endless Drama, Jason, dropping back from 1,600 metres, competing in Group 1s. They don't know what they're thinking there. Maybe just back to the drawing board a little bit, back to the 1,200. We have not seen a bean for Endless Drama. Look, Sasso Kobara will get back in the field, you would think. If there's enough tempo in the race, or we see enough tempo in the race, there's no doubt after that win at Otaki 2 starts ago that he could finish right over the top of them. But best back Princess Kereru, Volks Lightning and Hugo the Boss have been the subject of a couple of decent bets.
A little bit of pace has come out of the race with Amarula and Misuahu not starting today. This is the Form Pro speed map with Hugo the Boss. Para had a passing shot, one of the leaders, and Jonathan Pass, I just get the sense that he might have an opportunity to control things. Vinnie's Volley, though, one of 2 trained by John Barry. Vinnie's Volley, a daughter of Ifraj. A number of high-quality mares sprinting up here, Sweens. How did you sort it?
Well, I thought it was probably the best edition of this race for some period of time, point number 1. And point number 2, I think if Passing Shot gets there and Hugo the Boss decides to sit on his flank, then the speed's going to really come out of this particular race. I don't see Vinny's Volley putting any more pressure into the race, being a stablemate, probably capable of getting across and maybe finding a trailing position and being a danger from there. So Passing Shot sitting on speed. Hugo the Boss comes across. Rockin' Affairs, an interesting sort of addition to the race, whether it goes forward and puts a little bit more zip into it. But what I do know is that Spring Heat to Sessa Kaporo, Pretty to See, will probably all be in the back end of the field. There are some very sharp judges, and I mentioned Des Copham's Neil Davis saying that Sessa Kaporo, listening to the radio on the way up, is the one sectionally in this race exceptional. Last time we were here, though, it was a day where if you were not in the first handful, you were no chance, apart from a horse who's very, very sharp and rock on wood. You see Passing Shot down towards the inside, Volks Lightning, centre Sessa Kaporo in the middle, and out wide, Princess Kiriru. So there's your form race. You find the one you think is best advantage on a track like this this afternoon. And from my speed mapping, I've got Princess Kiriru, 3 back, 1 out. From there, I think she is the best sprinter in this particular race, 55.5 on her back, so she's down half a kilo from meeting Volks Lightning last. The time they meet at equal weights here this afternoon. So I found it a little bit difficult to get away from Princess Kiriru myself. I'm going to take the chance on Passing Shot. When this horse hits solid form, he just keeps on rocking and rolling. He has won 11. That's a very good sprinting record. He was good last time. He was a winner here over the 14 prior to that, off a leading position. If it plays that way, he's a big danger. Volks Lightning is going nicely. The mare by Volksrad. And yes, of those sitting at the back, I am going to go with Sessa Kaporo. I think this horse showed me enough at Otaki to say it can reel off a really good section, or the blinkers go on this afternoon, and that may see this horse fit a little bit more forward in that speed map than we expect, but I expect it to be to the outside first of Spring Heat Pretty to See and Sessa Kaporo. So it's probably the one you'll see flying, but this could be a blanket finish, Jason. It really could be, with those weight spread, which is very, very minimal with endless drama in the race. Handicapper might have got this right on the mark, really, and I think they'll be blanketed across the track.
It'll be a big watch on the actual pattern itself, with the rail in the position that it is, in the true position, and how it plays throughout. Also, you know, no doubting that the tempo of that race will be important, as it will be for race number 6, because there are a lot of horses that will go forward, or expected to go forward in this 1400 metre race, notwithstanding a horse like Swiss Watch was $6 drawn 10 Griffins, $5.50. It's been very positively ridden by Chelsea Burden and Nick Bakar, who rode his first winner in Singapore last night. Congratulations to him. Terra Sancta is at $7. One of the Valachi featured runners. She'll certainly be improved for this, but there's no doubting she could run a cheeky race fresh, particularly if a number of horses go too hard up front. Langkawi is the favourite at $3.80, with Lamia Stella there at $4.40. Has it been about Langkawi, Thad, dropping back to the 1400 metres and attracting cash?
Yeah, look, it has, and coming out of that Group 3 2,000 metre race behind the Chosen One at Awapuni, when it ran a strong race, Jason, we saw what the Chosen One managed to do in the Derby last weekend. So that form does frank up pretty well around Langkawi. So he's been $4.40 into $3.80, but that doesn't mean they aren't backing a few to beat him. And Griffin is one of them. Boy, oh boy, he's got a cult following already, Jason, this horse. Griffin, see Chelsea Burden aboard. Obviously the full brother to Ginger Nut. And the winner of 4 already, and a super consistent form line. I think 650 into 550 around Griffin. Swiss Watch, 2 from 2 on the track and distance. Not as much money as we have seen previously for Swiss Watch, but we know he'll run a cheeky race up on the speed. And Terra Sancta, the one you mentioned, look, we haven't seen any money for it resuming at this stage. You did mention it will improve with the run, and we thought it could run a cheeky race as well. We kept it pretty well on side at $7, but at this stage haven't managed to sell too many bets around Terra Sancta. Langkawi the best backed. I think Griffin might end up being the worst result.
Okay, now this speed map makes for interesting reading. You think about backing Swiss Watch, Bevan Sweeney, it must be a concern to see all that green inside of him, because when he has performed, he's got things very soft up front before sprinting. When he hasn't performed, he's had to work the first 600 and he's been left wanting. How did you see it?
Oh, look, I wouldn't be touching him today with a barge pole. That's just my personal opinion. When I was speed mapping, I thought from there he just doesn't get the run that suits him. He's got 2 quick horses inside him. She's a Rip with Tweedledee, and they'll be coming across. And I actually thought Griffin and Stradivarius had a little bit more zip than those drawn 1 and 2 who were in the green, and they can just come across early. and just let the speed go, and then they just get cover. So Griffin and Langkawi, I think, find a beautiful position in the race. And what we've seen from Langkawi, you have to be very, very keen around this particular horse's chances. Griffin, look, I was waiting out of Waiwaroa because the form's not massively strong through the East Coast swing. But then he stepped up into a reasonable sort of 72 grade or 82 grade and went down a very short margin behind Damazoro. So should have showed us that he has got very good ability. Now I'm taking you back to the 1400 metre run by Langkawi. This is in behind Emily Margaret. I thought the horse was a little unlucky not to be even closer to them in the finish. Emily Margaret's going to be presented to the centre of the track, and Langkawi's just in a tight little spot there for a couple of bounds. He just doesn't have the open expanses to really get into it. And then once he sort of has that horse allow him to come back towards the inside, I thought he was very, very good. So I understand the money for him. I think it has to be in your betting strategy, Langkawi, this afternoon. If he just pops out with no hustle or bustle, I think he gets cover, and he gets a position forward with a couple coming across from out wide to give him cover. So he's clearly on top. Lamia Stella, I had a bit of interest in early on in the week as a winning chance, but I think it gets 4 back the fence with the speed in this particular race, maybe even 5 back the fence. Doesn't have a lot of gate speed, albeit a pretty talented sort of horse going forward. Griffin's in the mix. I think they will be shoulder to shoulder, Griffin and Langkawi. And outside of that, look, I'm going to put Terra Sancta in because it's quality. It's fresh up from a very good stable with Leith Innes aboard, so I've just got due respect there. But yeah, I think Langkawi is a very, very strong bet on the program, Jace. I know you're of the same mindset.
At 4:15 will be the running of the Royston Hospital Hawke's Bay Cup. Yeah, I am of the same mindset with regards to Langkawi. But here we've got Fila, who is shortened into $3. iGrain $3.40, and then you've got Jack Star at $6.50. 2,200 metres, the Hawke's Bay Cup. Thad Taylor, I'm sensing a move for the 7.
Yeah, exactly, Jason. When we spoke on Friday on the first call, I was sort of suggesting that iGrain was the better backed of the two favourites here, Falar and iGrain, but I think we're in a little bit of a similar boat around sort of a Volks Lightning boat here, Jason, with Falar. As soon as we got the dead 6 put up, I think the money started to arrive. She would have certainly appreciated a slow track iGrain. Not that I don't think she'll go well on a dead 6, but I think that's just pushed support towards Falar, who won't mind a slow track, but I think he's got an advantage on a dead track over iGrain. So, look, they are the two favourites. They've both been well backed, but just in the last few hours, the money has started to come for Falar. He was $3.30 when we opened this morning, now into $3. Look, Jack Star was so good last time in the Awapuni Gold Cup. No reason he can't go on with it now that he's back, and at $6.50, you can imagine that there's good support there, and there is. Dolcetto certainly honest, and Hunter Pence, the local, was good last time, chasing a torrid speed up front and didn't shirk the task. But yeah, look, Jason, I wanted to be with you with iGrain. I was yesterday. Now I'm starting to get a bit nervous. Now I see this money for Falara and a dead 6.
And really warming to the horse and Stephen Marsh's move to put the blinkers on him for this 2,200 metre race. Certainly implies that he'll be as good as you'd want him to be to run to his best. Royal Ruby and Bellum, horses that could go forward with Tiptronic. iGrain, Samantha Collett suggesting that she will be positive on her, and quite what spot she'll land remains to be seen. Hunter Pence mental telepathy after a few hundred metres can really wind into it. Is this the map that you're seeing here, Bevan?
Yes, Royal Ruby, iGrain to be the leading 2, with possibly Tiptronic pushing forward and finding a forward spot. I think Hunter Pence will take a sit, mental telepathy, and Bellum will also ensure that there is okay to below medium sort of tempo for mine. Look, the money on Fila is a little bit on reputation, for sure, for mine, when I go through this field and look through their staying form lines. Albeit he has been highly spooked for a long period of time. He's in the right race with 53 kilos and the blinkers go on. So it almost feels like D-Day for Falar, and I understand the bookmakers keeping this horse very, very safe. Do the blinkers see him just posse up a couple of more spots further forward? Lace riding very, very light. That's another key. I'm not sure at another point in the season that Leith has ridden at 53.5, so it's been a very big push for him. So he must highly rate the horse's chances here this afternoon. All that said, I think iGrain, with the trip it gets in the race and how it gets to dictate what speed this race will be run at from its position, if Samantha is positive and gets outside Royal Ruby, then iGrain should be very, very difficult to beat. Now, the track's a dead six, so there is enough cut out of this track condition. Now, Monrecure comes out of this particular race and almost picks up a black type win at Awapuni at the next start. You've got a very smart mare winning it, and Igrain at a trip so far short of her best, I thought was absolutely brilliant. And she's shown us staying quality, and she's on speed at a racetrack where that is very, very important. And her position in the run, and her manners to come back underneath Sam and control the race. So I'm not getting off the ship, Jay, so I'm going to go with the 4 Igrain with massive respect around Fila, certainly. When I review the race of Jack Star last start, he was outstanding. He beat Sampson, who went out and won a St Ledger and had been in massive, massive form prior to that. He will love Hawke's Bay. With the dig out of the track. He has been great in some of our best staying races before he had injury. If he is fine, fit and in good health here this afternoon, and you'd have to say it must be, then he's got as good a staying credentials as any horse in the race. Then Fila for me. And Tiptronic has weight for age form over ground. He's a tough horse. Things didn't go right the last recent start. But I wouldn't be surprised if he plants himself somewhere on speed. He'll take a heck of a lot of catching. So I'm a little bit against the money, albeit respectful around the horse's abilities. 4, 3, 7 and 2 in our cup this afternoon.
Yeah, good edition of the Hawke's Bay Cup, that's for sure, the 2019 edition. Okay, Bevan, $100 and how you assessed the best on the card.
I really do like Mr Universe in the first on the program. I think his last start performance was exceptional in a very good form race. He seems to be coming to it beautifully. So he will be my best bet on the program, albeit the value's just absolutely disappeared out of his price final field-wise. I think What's Up in the last on the program, look, I've spoken about him so many times that I thought he'd make a horse, and I just said to people at Te Ahiraneke, well, just maybe a gold coin because the track's a good 3, and then he just burnt on by at 30s. But he's still at 850, stepped up to 65 grade and gets the cutout that I was hoping for today. So I thought What's Up at around 850, I think he's into 7s with a couple of scratchings, is a very good value bet. So I'm going to have 40 on Mr Universe, I'm going to have 40 on Langkawi, and we'll put the rest of it, that's $20 to win on What's Up here this afternoon. So that's how I've seen it, Jason. 11:48, 12:45 our first, so about an hour away from getting Hawke's Bay Cup Day underway.
Good stuff. Thank you, Bevan Sweeney there. Tony Lee to describe the 8 races at Hastings Hawke's Bay Cup Day, as Bevan mentioned. Thad Taylor, just before we leave you, any other things of note for the races that we haven't previewed at Riccarton or Hastings?
Yeah, look, I think it's obviously we haven't touched on Randwick, Jason. I think that's where most of the action is. You've highlighted a couple of those special bet types we have, a Winks Out market. 5:05 this afternoon, going for 33 in a row. Just one little stat for you, Jason. If you'd had $1 on when she won the Sunshine Coast Guineas 32 starts ago and reinvested every time, we'd have $75,000 to invest on her today at $1.06, but unfortunately I didn't do it.
You know, I wonder if anyone can put their hand up with the tickets and say that they have, because it's always a nice stat, that one, when we see horses win them in a row. And of course Black Caviar and the stats around her before she retired. Thanks, Thad, for your time. Thad Taylor there from the Sports Desk. Thanks to Bevan Sweeney, Greg O'Connor and all our guests that helped bring you the Punters Lounge live today. It's all about backing a winner, isn't it? So I hope you can do that. Also hope that you can be with us at least at 5:05 when Winks will try and win her 33rd race in a row, her 25th Group 1, and go out as a winner in the Queen Elizabeth. All the best today. Bye for now.
I was made for this.